Welcome to Unseen Battles, where in this episode, we'll explore the inspiring journeys of individuals battling with endometriosis, ADHD, ARFID, and male eating disorders. These stories highlight their strength and resilience in facing these unseen horrors. Let's dive in. You never think it can happen to you. You never believe that the pain you feel could be something more, something lurking beneath the surface, waiting to take over your life. But for her, it became a waking nightmare. It started subtly for her, just a whisper of discomfort, a shadow of pain. She brushed it off, thinking it was normal, just a part of life. But as the years passed, the whispers grew louder, the shadows darker. Doctor after doctor told her it was nothing, just a part of being a woman. It's not cancer, it won't kill you, they'd say. But the pain, the debilitating pain, told a different story. It was as if her body was screaming for help, but no one would listen. The pain became her constant companion. Every step, every breath was a struggle. Her body betrayed her, turning her life into a living hell. And still, they wouldn't listen. Still, they dismissed her. When the diagnosis finally came, it was a relief and a curse. Severe stage 4 endometriosis. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Had they listened earlier, maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't have come to this. Surgery was her only hope. They told her it would take 5 hours. It took 12. When she woke up in the ICU, covered in tubes and wires, she knew the nightmare was far from over. The specialist said it was the worst case he'd ever seen. Endometriosis had invaded every part of her, from her uterus to her kidneys. She was fighting for her life, in a battle she never chose. Discharged and sent home, she thought the worst was over. But the pain came back, fiercer than ever. She felt like she was dying. And in a way she was. Sepsis. The word echoed in her mind. The infection was killing her from the inside. They worked frantically to save her, pumping her with antibiotics, fluids, anything to keep her alive. Another surgery, another battle. They had to fix the damage, to stop the infection from spreading. She was a warrior in a war she never wanted, fighting for every breath, every heartbeat. Weeks in the ICU, weeks of pain, of fighting for her life. She emerged from the darkness, scarred but alive. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. She was told endometriosis wouldn't kill her. They were wrong. It almost did. But she survived. And now she fights not just for herself but for everyone who suffers in silence. If you're out there suffering, know this: you are not alone. Your pain is real, your voice matters. Speak up, fight back, and never give up. This is her story, through her eyes. And it's far from over. Let's break the silence. Together we can fight this. Together we can win. They say the mind is a labyrinth, a maze of thoughts and emotions. But what happens when that maze becomes a prison? A place where every turn brings you face to face with your deepest fears. This is the story of someone ensnared by ADHD and the terror of avoidant restrictive eating disorder, or ARFID. For as long as they could remember, certain foods evoked a visceral reaction. Tomatoes, bananas, yogurt each had its unique way of causing discomfort. What others saw as mere dislikes, they experienced as sensory nightmares. Butter on a sandwich, the texture of raw chicken, jelly and processed meats, each was an assault on the senses. It was more than just taste, it was the way these foods felt, smelled, and even looked. All a torment that turned meals into a battlefield. As a child, school was a struggle. Too talkative, unable to focus, plagued by anxiety. It wasn't until their mid-20s that a diagnosis of ADHD shed light on years of confusion. The diagnosis brought clarity, but it also unveiled a new layer of horror, the realization of just how deeply ADHD had woven itself into the fabric of everyday life. Conversations with a therapist revealed the sensory overload that came with ADHD. Sensitivity to lights, sounds, crowded spaces, and of course food. It became clear that this wasn't just picky eating. It was something far more sinister. A late-night search uncovered avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, or ARFID, similar to anorexia, but without the obsession with body image. a disorder driven by the sensory torment associated with ADHD. The realization was both a relief and a curse. Daily life became a series of calculated moves, prepping meals in advance, avoiding social situations that involved food, and enduring the anxiety that built up before every meal. The fear of sensory overload was paralyzing. Therapy provided some solace. Understanding the connection between ADHD and ARFID was the first step. Exposure therapy and working with an occupational therapist offered strategies to cope. But the road to managing this disorder was long and fraught with challenges. Talking about ADHD and ARFID isn't just about understanding the symptoms. It's about recognizing the impact on daily life, the isolation, the fear. It's about breaking the stigma and fostering open conversations. In the end, the mind's labyrinth remains a treacherous place. But with understanding and support, the walls of that maze can be breached. This is a journey of survival, of battling unseen demons and emerging stronger. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. If you or someone you know is struggling with similar issues, remember that you're not alone. Seek help, speak out, and together, we can navigate the darkness. As the captain of his university boxing club, he seemed to have it all together, training hard, eating what everyone thought was healthy, and maintaining a fit physique. But beneath the surface, a dark and insidious struggle was taking over his life. 4 years ago, he was driven by a desperate desire to be as small as possible. He wanted to shed the label of being the token fat kid. He started making small changes, moving more, eating less. Compliments from others fueled his obsession. "You look so healthy," they'd say. But what they saw as healthy was his descent into darkness. He became addicted to the praise and recognition. He started going to the gym every other day, hunting for the next brutal workout. He couldn't see it then, but he was heading down a dangerous path. Boxing became his escape, his way of proving that he was no longer the fat kid. His coach asked if he wanted to compete, and he jumped at the chance. He had to lose weight to meet the category, far below what was healthy for him. But he didn't care. He craved the validation. His obsession grew. He trained multiple times a day, measured every bite of food, weighed himself constantly. His life revolved around losing weight. After his first match, the real fight began. He binged on food, then punished himself with extreme exercise. This cycle of binging and restricting consumed him. He lost interest in everything else, distancing himself from friends and family. One freezing 4 a.m. run, he broke down. Injured, miserable, he wondered how he had become so obsessed with his appearance. He reached out to a friend, unable to call it an eating disorder, but knowing something was wrong. Speaking to his friend and then a therapist saved him. It was a long journey, but he recovered. He realized many men suffer in silence, their struggles unnoticed. He became more isolated, skipping social events, fearing judgment. Injuries piled up, and exhaustion set in, but he couldn't stop. His life was a constant battle against his own body. The breaking point came during that fateful 4 a.m. run. He collapsed, unable to go on. In that moment of utter despair, he realized he couldn't continue living this way. He needed help. Recovery was a long and arduous journey. Therapy helped him understand his struggles, and he built a support network. Gradually, he began to find joy in life again, reconnecting with friends and rediscovering his passions. Eating disorders are debilitating, but with the right help, recovery is possible. If you think a man in your life is suffering, talk to them. And if it's you, reach out. It's a hard conversation, but it's worth it. This is his story. Let's break the silence.